So Swamp Thing fans, a lot of you have been asking me, where's your Swamp Thing content been? Like, I don't understand. Why did you stop doing it? Have you stopped doing it? Are you going to review the last 2 episodes? Today I'm going to go over that and also go over a little bit of a recap of the episodes I have missed. So stay tuned to watch all of that, I suppose. How's it going, Swamp Things? Welcome to a brand new Swamp Thing video, and yes, that feels really good to say because, as you may already know, I haven't posted a Swamp Thing review since episode 4, and the episodes that are left are episode 9 and 10. Now, I have to admit, I wasn't sure if I should review the last 2 episodes, just given that I've missed, quite a few episodes, which I would love for you guys to let me know down in the comments below. I might review it anyway, but if none of you are interested because I've missed basically almost half the season in reviews, that's understandable. But for the reason why, and I've posted this on my community tab, I even mentioned it in my last Swamp Thing review before I went away. Just before we get onto the recap, I want to detail this. I said I was going on vacation, but maybe some of you didn't realize how long I'd be away. I think I mentioned it, but maybe I didn't. And it was a very, very long time for, usually people go away for a week or 2 or something like that. I was away for 3 weeks. The day I flew out was on a Friday, which it was a day Swamp Thing came out. So really, I missed 4 episodes, around 4, I think. Even though I was away for 3 weeks, and it was just all such bad timing. I did say that I would try and get stuff out, but understandably, when you're on holiday, I was really busy going around like theme parks in Orlando and stuff, and all that jazz, so like it just didn't work out. But what I'm going to do today is go over a kind of quick recap. I'm sorry if I miss out on loads of details. You guys know I would talk about Swamp Thing, and you know I go very in-depth with my reviews, sometimes over 15 minutes with DC Universe shows, just because they're typically a bit longer as well. With me recapping and kind of reacting, if you will, over like 4 episodes worth of stuff up until episode, basically episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. I would talk forever about that. That'd be like an hour-long video. But either way, this is for the guys who wanted this video. Some of you have been saying, yeah, you should do like a recap. So for those of you who are interested in me talking about, more or less the main points out of the past few episodes, this is for you guys. And as I said, let me know if you still want to see and you'll still be watching that episode 9 review and episode 10 review, because don't get me wrong, I love DC Universe. Don't worry, I'm still gonna review Titans season 2 and everything like that. It was just super bad timing where I went on vacation where one of the DC Universe shows are out. But anyway, guys, go ahead and like this video if you do going to enjoy me talking all things Swamp Thing over the past few episodes, and let's get right into it. So episode 5, I've got some notes here, so if you see me looking to the left, there's quite a few bullet points, as you can understand with quite a few episodes. So Swampy met the Phantom Stranger, and he began to learn all about the Green and how the memories connect with the swamp, and how everything that was happening in that episode with him was just giving him a lot of clarity. And I have to say, guys, I really, really like the Phantom Stranger. I do not know if we'll be seeing him again, but that was, it just reminds me, to be honest, of the whole rumor going around, and this is what I mean. I can talk forever about things, so I'll try and digress soon, but it just reminds me of the Justice League Dark stuff that they could have got to. If you're just hearing this for the first time, yes, they actually were, if Swamp Thing went on for a few seasons, could have actually got to Justice League Dark. And then that just makes me spiral off with my mind, like, oh my god, they could do a DC Universe Constantine show. I enjoyed the one with Matt Ryan, but come on, DC Universe is mature and adult. This isn't Swamp Thing now. But yeah, Phantom Stranger, kick-ass. We also began to see the real side of the sheriff, with her killing Remy for seeing Matt Cable go after Alec Holland, like he was the guy, the guy in the first episode who obviously shot the boat and killed Alec Holland was Matt Cable. Honestly, I didn't necessarily expect some of the things the TV show is adapting and kind of doing to play things up that I'm really enjoying, which we'll get to with other things. But Matt Cable doing this was very interesting, and especially seeing how far, the sheriff, don't get me wrong, you saw different sides to her. She was a little bit off, but like I didn't know the extent of what we would see with her character unfold over the next few episodes, like 5, 6, 7, and 8. Things get real, especially with what happened to Avery in episode 7. Episode 5 also gave us quite a few Abby and Shauna flashbacks. This included actually us seeing, Abby push Shauna off, and I like the way they kind of played it throughout the episode, because it's like you kind of think, okay, and especially with Abby blaming herself this whole time, even though I kind of saw through that, I thought she was just blaming herself, well, because freaking Marie has been blaming her this whole time. But anyway, she pushed her in. We thought that maybe killed her, but it wasn't. She was still just floating when obviously Abby jumped in, but something brought her down and killed her. So it's super interesting to know why Shauna still blames her when it clearly kind of wasn't her fault. Maybe she does, because if Abby never pushed her off, she wouldn't have got pulled down by the mysterious thing. But also, as Xanadu kind of said, with her opening a door and all of that jazz, the darkness has kind of corrupted her soul, in the sense that, and that's kind of like a thing in a lot of horror paranormal things, like even if you're a good person in life, in a scary sense, and if they're introducing you in a scary sense in the story, you can be twisted and corrupted. That's the best way to put it, by whatever darkness is out there. To be honest, guys, this was probably one of my favorite episodes, because I'm about to get on to the last bullet point of episode 5, and as we had Daniel Cassidy try to leave Mariah, and he got that little blue burn, and then obviously at the end of the episode he got hit over the head trying to help out Liz, the reporter lady. And that will lead me on to talk about this in just a second, with obviously a lot more Daniel Cassidy stuff / Blue Devil stuff happening in episode 6. But I just summed this up by saying this was a really cool episode, as I just mentioned, which just drove a lot more things forward in the plot and clarified a lot of things and just teased even more. And I think, that the Blue Devil tease at the end just got me very excited. And it's also, as we all know, like, you get some people saying, why are you reviewing this if there's not going to be season 2? It's like, it doesn't really matter. It's still like a work of art, but it is frustrating knowing that we're getting all this Daniel Cassidy stuff. And even as we're up to episode 8 now, well, episode 9 tomorrow, the Blue Devil, it's just like, it's only coming right at the end of the season. I don't mind that, because it would have been, they didn't want to rush it. I like that, but it's just frustrating that we're not getting a season 2 and more. Even though the actor, sorry, I cannot remember the name off the top of my head as I'm talking right now, funnily enough, and I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but the guy who plays Daniel Cassidy / the Blue Devil thinks it will get resurrected, because it's just too amazing to not get, and I agree with that. It's an amazing show, but they've already destroyed a lot of the set stuff and everything like that, so but I just wanted to chuck that in there. So on to episode 6 highlights. I'm going to have to kind of hurry this forward, because I've been, on my camera it says I've been talking for a long time already. So having just, spoke about Daniel Cassidy, this episode really explored, I really enjoyed how it explored his past. So we were going back to his past as a stunt guy on the set, and he was just, aspiring to be the lead role, because the guy in the lead role just wasn't that great, and he felt like he could do better, and is this going to be his lot in life? And then we had that kind of, shady, mysterious character spot this in Daniel Cassidy, which ultimately saw him being granted the lead role after having those kind of flashback conversations with him. But it was under the condition that he stay in Mirai, and in doing so he will get a very important role through meeting a woman who would be coming to Mirai soon, who you just have to assume is obviously Abby. So obviously those two, and this was teased even before this, with Xanadu and Daniel Cassidy, I think, on the card scene when she was flipping the cards, and he was like saying to himself, what, Abby, Arcane or something. Either way, those two destinies are kind of somewhat intertwined. But yet again, it could be another thing that's just going to kind of nosedive off a cliff, because it's been cut off, not only in the series order being reduced from 13 to 10, but also we're not even getting a season 2. But either way, really cool flashbacks for Daniel Cassidy. Obviously at the same time in this episode, he was hit over the head. He was like level 7 comatose, and he would never probably wake up from that ever. If he did, he'd probably be severely brain damaged. But obviously, freaking Jason Woodrue tried to experiment, by dipping in that little, cells, whatever, into Daniel Cassidy's little IV drip, whatever you want to call it. And in doing so, he woke up. But with the side effects of, essentially being turned into the Blue Devil, which we still haven't seen, which I'm kind of surprised by. They've kind of like dropped it for a little bit. I trust we're going to see in episode 9. I actually haven't seen a trailer for that, by the way. Don't know if I'm talking about something that you have already seen. But yeah, I thought maybe we'd see a bit more Blue Devil and the end of his transformation sooner, but they've kind of benched him for a couple of episodes, which we'll get to in a second, about what those episodes contain. But either way, I'm loving this origin story, but I'm looking forward, to be honest, for more of the aspect of the demonic side of it and the deal he created with that guy. What is his lead role in Mirai, and how does that connect to Abby Arcane specifically? But another thing, guys, I just love how this springboarded Jason Woodrue and Shady Avery, who I like to call, into their fascination even further because of the mutagenic cell regeneration, if you will, that was taking place in Daniel Cassidy. And obviously this is a big influence for Jason Woodrue with his wife who has Alzheimer's. Really looking forward to seeing where this can go, and if a certain cell mutagenic regeneration-y kind of thing takes place with a certain Jason Woodrue. We're gonna have to wait and see. Oh yeah, guys, and how could I forget, at the end of that episode, I really love with what Swamp Thing are doing here. And, you know, for a while before Swamp Thing even came out, I was discussing with people, like, it seems that, you know, the guys playing Alec Holland is somehow obviously still around beyond episode 1 in terms of filming. But how? Because he's, you know, Swamp Thing. Why are they keeping him around? And I was just thinking maybe they're gonna be doing flashbacks and stuff. But at the end of this episode, they introduced that due to Swampy's spores that were released into the air, it had some hallucinogenic effects on Abby Arcane that I really liked, and how it made her be able to see, you know, Alec Holland under the Swamp Thing kind of get up. This was a great way to involve that actor still. So episode 7 carried on from that moment to the point where he could even summon like freaking plums for Abby, like literally food, because she was hungry. Swampy's just got it all dialed down now. Like, he's learned so much since the Phantom Strange already because of the green. A lot of interesting conversation took place in episode 7 as well, just in regards to the green, how he explained it to Abby, and he explained like this darkness, this rot, and this episode really went on to explain through Alec Holland in the hallucination form for Abby that there are these unseen forces like all around us, whether that's life, death, and, you know, at the best of times, as he said, they keep a balance, but there are also times and places where the darker elements like the rot or the death drowns out the green. So that was super cool. Abby was obviously adamant about getting a sample of this so she can, you know, maybe create a cure for Alec Holland. And in doing so, she got cut. That was a super cool scene in this episode as well, where you had the green, like kind of veins and infection, fighting the rot infection, if you will. Super cool. And we had like Swampy doing like a little operation with his long tentacly kind of, not tentacly, you know what I mean, but fingers. Now, as I always say, guys, this is just an adaptation of the comics, but, you know, when obviously Abby was infected with the rot or the black or whatever you want to call it, with the comics, with her bloodline, which I don't want to get into major spoilers, but who knows what the TV show is doing with the whole bloodline stuff and the connection to her uncle, what could happen with that if they had future seasons. Maybe it doesn't make her immune to that infection. Well, it obviously didn't, because the rot was like fighting her. So that just kind of made me think, like, what is her connection to like that bloodline and the kind of the magic-y, the elemental force that is the black and whatnot. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that for like the comic book guys who have read all of this stuff. Like, what do you think of this in terms of adaptation? Like, where do you think they're going with it? Do you think that there is a connection already with Abby Arcane? We know her mother died, so is there going to be any comic book accurate tie to that? And how we know what caused the death of Abby Arcane's mother in the comics, which I don't want to say on here for just spoilery reasons in case they ever go into it. During this episode as well, we had like that Conclave rep come, and you guys may remember the Shady Conclave like group of people. Essentially, like, he was working alongside Marie, because this was all happening at the same time as the Shady Sheriff now trying to kill Avery Sutherland. And Marie, at the end of the episode, we learned was in on it. And I really didn't actually expect that, but it makes kind of sense with all the stuff. I think she's been aware of everything this whole time, and she's done with it. And God knows what else she's had to put up with Avery. But that also wasn't the only revelation we learned. We also learned that Matt Cable is the son of Avery Sutherland. So I just like all of the progressions this show is having within each episode. I will say that the latest episode, for example, episode 8, I don't think there's anything else I have to say about episode 7. So what I was going to say is that episode 8, I feel like, was more or less the slowest episode. Of course, things were unfolding, but a lot of it was Avery kind of recovering from surviving the, you know, the murder attempt on the sheriff and Matt Cable. And, you know, basically throughout the whole episode, he was kind of delirious. Yeah, I think he had his wound infected. He was kind of having flashbacks to his father and how he was attacking the swamp tree, and that kind of lashed out. And it kind of gave us that excuse as to why Avery has kind of been disregarding the swamp this whole time, and if anything, using it, and that's, you know, gives us the fuel as to why he's been littering it with all this kind of stuff. We saw that Swampy actually saved Avery for him to only freaking stab him in the back, but we'll get to that in a second. But we had more discussions of how, you know, after the abuse that the swamp had suffered, the balance in the swamp shifted, which, you know, released the darkness. And I found that conversation between Avery, well, that scene in general, Avery and Alec Holland, very compelling, just because, you know, Avery is the one who did this to Alec. He's kind of the responsible party, even though Matt was sent after him. We obviously had the Conclave, more things with them. They took over basically the CDC in a way. They kind of infiltrated the CDC and confronted Abby about Alec Holland, which is going to be, I guess, picked up next episode in episode 9. And the next main thing at the end, obviously after Woodrue was, you know, given a new lab from the Conclave, because they're super interested after learning about all the cell, you know, mutagenic regeneration and stuff like that. They want in on this. Is that Swampy was freaking backstabbed by Avery Sutherland and taken down, basically kind of frozen. That's one way to temporarily stop him. But I loved it when he kind of summoned that kind of lance, if you will. You could argue it was a sword, but like it was, yeah, that scene was very cool. I think the next episode is called The Anatomy Lesson, which, if you guys know anything from the comics, is going to be quite a big episode in terms of a revelation that takes place that I think will make viewers, you know, kind of casual viewers, kind of ask themselves the question about Swamp Thing. But I'm not going to really get into that for mega spoiler reasons, because it's quite a big thing in terms of Alec Holland's identity, Swamp Thing's identity, and how all of this ties together. So definitely be excited for that. And if you're wondering about it, well, as I just said, get excited, because it's quite interesting stuff. And yeah, that is it, guys. I know this was a really rambly video, but you guys wanted to hear my thoughts on the episodes that I missed. I hope this kind of was okay for that. Obviously, I could have gone in depth with every single episode, but as I already mentioned, that would have taken even longer than what this video time already is. So if you did enjoy it, guys, leave a like on it, show your support for Swamp Thing content, and especially let me know down in the comments below, as I've mentioned a billion times, do you want me to review episode 9 and 10? Leave me your thoughts in general. Since I haven't posted any videos or video reviews of the previous episodes, leave me your like thoughts and speculations just on the previous episodes. What were you happy with? What were you shocked by? All of that good stuff. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you Swamp Things in the next video. Goodbye.